divided by 19, somewhere around 5.5, I assume.
5.5. Is there should be an invoice there where we have the unit price. I can assist you with that.
Yes, can you just help me find the unit price?
About. So we have one for sent to you on the 27th of December 2018. It doesn't have the unit price, but it has the total price, which is 2.3 US dollars, and then the price for the 19 trucks duty free is 1.8. And there is another.
Mayor Bensouda, looking at the documents, particularly Exhibit 012, 013, and 014, which is in relation to the trucks. You would realize that there was no proper proposal from these exhibits that were tendered yesterday. There were no proper proposal, that is a proper feasibility study on all of this.
So the project manager, Bakari Singate, I was trying to get documents from him. He sent me some documents, but there's no feasibility. I've submitted a concept.
Okay.
But like I said, I've also submitted some documents where they were trying to...
Yes, I believe the concept note is just to show, to apportion responsibility.
Right.
To indicate who are the parties that are going to be responsible and what they are going to be responsible for.
Right, so he should have had those project documents. I remember being presented at the council, but there was no feasibility study. Like you've said, there were surveys by the WDCs and the councillors,
yes.
Which I...
Yes, I have seen the survey, which inform what the budget is all about.
Right.
Okay, you can proceed, and I will ask.
Yes, 105 million, which shows 5.5 million, 31,309 per truck.
Is the unit price?
Yes.
Where was KMC given information as to the actual price that Futon was selling it for?
No, that is not. We don't ask vendors what they buy for.
Why is that?
That is not the practice.
Okay, but would it not be better so that you would not be sold a truck at a unit price that will be very exorbitant?
That does not exist in procurement. You buy based on the competitive bids you receive, but you don't ask a vendor how much profit they make or how much they bought it for, and they wouldn't tell you.
Okay, but you should. The requirement is that there has to be market research, so that the procurement process demands that every procurement organization must engage first in market research before they procure any goods or item?
So the contract committee could look at market research as far as competitive offers, not the profitability of vendors, but the prices on the market.
Okay, so I'm not asking about the profitability. So because I can decide to purchase a bottle of water, and then for $10, and I sell it for $100, right? If there's no price control, it just means perhaps that if I am into any competitive process in the case of bidding, other suppliers will perhaps have contracts, and I would not because of the pricing. The issue with respect to the requirements by the procurement is that the procuring organization must engage in market research first, so that they know the market prices for every goods and that they want to purchase. And this would be incorporated in the procurement plan for the year. So that when you know generally what the market price is, then you can negotiate. But if you don't know what the market price is, how would negotiations be done?
Yeah, so procuring organization can do preemptive market research, and then they know, okay, these are the general prices of goods in the market. They can also do the public tender. I think the public tender also is also another market research. It's a competitive process. Who has the best value, who has the best price, offer it, and they can compare and compete. Yeah.
What is preemptive market research?
Pardon?
What is preemptive market research?
Well, meaning you don't know what products you're going to buy, but you have an idea, and then you create a vendors list or the average prices of goods in the market.
Is that a requirement in the GPA Act?
But it's good practice. You can do that. When we first came into office, that's one of the things we discussed as potentially doing, because there was a lot of briefcase vendors. All they do is they will go to a furniture store, create their own invoice, put their margin on top of the furniture stores, and then come and sell to the council, whereas the council could have gone directly to that furniture store and save some money. So it's good practice for a procuring organization. It was once mentioned by the accounts committee to get an idea of prices in the market.
So where you have expressed regulation with respect to market research, and it is very clear as to what every organization should do that involves in public procurement, that you have a procurement plan which would be informed by the activities of council in the ensuing year, and then you engage in a market research to know the market prices, so that this has to be done before procurement even takes place. Now, that is a requirement, that is a mandatory requirement by GPA regulations and act, that market research has to be done, so that when you're buying a bottle of water, you know exactly what the market price is, and you have it documented. Right. Now, if the organization now resorts to practice, that would defeat the requirements of GPA Act and regulations in relation to market research.
No, I said the preemptive one is good practice. But when contracts committee sits and they're deciding on procuring an item, they should investigate what is the going rate, and the best way is through a competitive tender, and they can do research, like you said, market research.
The idea is there's no preemptive research provided for by the Act. Well, not that I'm aware of, by the Act or the regulation. So it must have been provided by the Act to say that this is what you do, these are the things you should do. So the preemptive can be a good practice. I don't doubt it. I don't know what it means, to be honest, and even as you say it. But the research, market research that is provided for is what is to be complied with by procurement organizations in a standard. So do you know whether market research was done in accordance with the Procurement Act and regulation?
In regard to the trucks?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe they found the best price at the time, given what we were looking at, because we are looking at pre-financing. We are looking at a certain size of truck. So they presented the best price to the council.
Yes, but do we have evidence of market research?
I think the public tender is evidence of that.
No, it's different. Public tender is now, you have now started procurement.
Yes, but if you advertise and say, I want a pencil, everybody willing and able to provide this pencil come forward. people who come forward, that is your market research, and then you can go further to scrutinize and say, okay, but what is the going rate on the internet, or what is, and you ask around and you get a good idea and you make a procurement decision. Sometimes, for me, if I was able to change law,
Right.
I would say government should buy direct from abroad if they
Right.
have the money. But in this case, we did not have
Why?
the money. We have
Why
to
would you do
depend.
that?
Well,
you,
if
you, you don't want to support local businesses?
No, I want to support local businesses, but like I said, well, we can go into policy debates and my vision for the Gambia, but I don't think that is going to be
Okay.
necessary. But I believe that when you tender,
Right.
all the local players come forward, and then you can negotiate to get the best value for money.
Okay, so we'll just proceed from that.
Yeah.
So, but that would not be.
Sorry,
Yes.
I don't think, Mayor Bensouda, that answers the question. Because the tendering is, you are putting the, you are requesting for certain product, which you have a prior knowledge of what it is, the quality, the specifications, and everything, including cost. But before you are able to come up with that, I believe what the regulation is saying is that you must be able to know what you're looking for first, before you are able to put that in a document to allow people to come in and say, I can offer at this cost for what you are asking for. Yes. So if you don't know what you're looking for, and you have not had the opportunity to verify, you understand, those cost elements, do you think you can reliably rely on the tender documents that you have?
Okay, so I think lead counsel is asking about market research for prices. What you're referring to is product specification. So
no, what I mean is, if you have a tender document, it gives you all the information. If you ask for a tender, I believe you have a document that is asking for specifics, including cost and specifications, right? But you, as the procuring organization, you must first understand what you're looking for, and you must also know what you're looking for, and you must also know your budget. And that is why the regulation is saying you must conduct your survey, your market survey, to know exactly what you're looking for and at what competitive price you would be looking at when you receive these tender documents.
So I think in this case, the contracts committee had the internal expertise to build the procurement documents with the specifications.
Yes.
And the idea of what product they were looking for, and an idea of what price they were looking for.
So in this instance, were you aware that the procurement committee had an informed research about what the pricing is?
Yes, because they do present to council in a very specific manner. This is what we were looking for, these are the price we were looking for, these are the people who responded, and this is our idea on the best way forward.
Was it a report that was sent to council?
The contract committee chair, who's the CEO, always presents a report
Okay.
to the general council.
Please let us have that information.
I'll ask it.
Yes. Councillor.
Yeah, so I'm sure we will close very soon. So we'll come back to what I meant by the act referring to market research. So the idea, I appreciate your understanding, but the idea is that before procurement is even started, that the company or the business or the institution that is bound by GPPA regulations must first obtain and have a knowledge as to the items they will be procuring, because you have a procurement plan for the year, right? KMC would have a procurement plan for the year, or any institution. And then based on that, in that procurement plan, you will know whether you are going to buy 10 air conditioners and 5 vehicles and so on and so forth. And for each of those items, the law is that you must first have a prior knowledge, so that you know exactly what the market price is. Now, it doesn't have to be static. It doesn't have to be exactly a fixed amount. But you have a fair idea first, so that when you now invite the bidders, you now know that this is the prevailing acceptable price. So I'll give an example. Like the example I will give, let's say iPhone 15, right? And then you want to procure iPhone 15, and then you don't know the price, and you have 4 suppliers who are selling these items at a very exorbitant price that you would not usually buy if you know the price, right? The price is, let's say, $50,000, and each of them is starting $100,000 plus. So it is trying to discourage ignorance of prices before procuring activities are conducted.
So the issue with the waste compactor trucks, I think KMC is the first ever organization to buy compactor trucks for waste in the Gambia. In terms of basically the schematics and the processes the contracts committee went through to determine price exactly, I think the CEO would be best to know, or one of the experts. What we do know from the council level is A, these are the respondents, B, these are the prices, and of course the councillors and the council want a discount. There was a push for, well, can they reduce the price, because everybody is concerned about repayment. And I believe the original price was 115 million, and the vendor eventually agreed to a 10 million discount on the Mbalit trucks. Now, in terms of iPhones, etc., I think those prices are pretty well known. Now, based on, I can tell you from my personal travels, based on my experience, the trucks that inspired this project, for example, in Madison City, which is a sister city to KMC, in Wisconsin, the trucks they're using, when I asked them, they procure for about $300,000 per unit. That's what the fleet manager responds. The ones they use in Belgium and Europe is also around $250,000. So the ones we are procuring, I think shy of $100,000. That's my perspective based on my own asking. But in terms of the schematics, the processes, the contract committee use in terms of devising what are the going rates for these types of trucks, they know best. But in terms of us, the buyers, the councillors and myself, what we look at is who offered what and what is the most competitive.
So an example is what we found in the contract committee meeting minutes of the 21st of November 2019 that I had read earlier with respect to the 8 additional skip truck buckets or bins that were procured, right? And so that when you read 5.2, it talks about the prices when Espas Motors wanted to sell at the price of $450,000, which would total 3.6 million for what was to be procured. And then they are saying they know the market price is $250,000. Now they have a bargaining chip. Now they know that what Espas is asking is significantly higher than what obtains in the market. So the reason for market survey is what you are doing in effect is having value for money. Value for money. So when they said this, even though it was already done, KMC went ahead and procured these trucks from Espas Motors, but then you would have done it at a higher price, because according to the minutes, the market price is $250,000. It's significantly less. So that's what an evidence of market survey is.
So the minutes are not referring to the trucks, they're referring to the skip buckets?
Yes, yes.
And I wouldn't call the local welders' price the market survey. I think the local welder is saying what they can make locally, yes, versus the standard imported skip bucket. Now, as you've brought to my attention, this was not brought through the right procurement process, or we would have probed further. But from my experience, after the fact, the Ibotown Badala skip bucket that was made by a local welder. He couldn't make it to specification, so it was a waste of 250,000, and the truck could not lift it. What we've known in procurement throughout my time in KMC, cheapest does not mean better, it just means cheapest.
Yes.
It could be low quality, it could be not up to standard, could be not the specs you're looking for, but it should go through a process to test whether the price is because of the quality or the price is truly just cheaper. So in the case of the trucks, the open tender is done. I believe from my recollection, there was 2 bidders. There was TK Motors and Espas. But I believe the edge that Espas had was not because of price. It was because of mostly the financing and I believe the ability to customize to the terrain.
No, the issue with respect to the market survey, where I read this, is to show you what market survey can do. Now, of course, if you are awarding a contract, you don't just look at the cheapest. No, you don't. It is a factor where you rule out your technical specification. You expect that the bidders will match the technical specification. Where they all match it and they meet your financial requirements and the others, you go for the cheapest. Yeah. We all have the same product and everything, the same quality and all that, based on the technical specification we have rolled out. Then the cheapest is what should be up for, right? So the idea was just to show you that market survey, they realize that they are to do market survey and have advanced knowledge of prices before they engage in that. Now, the 994,875 is purchased, paid for the 19 trucks. Yes. We see a column for financing because the amount that Espas got it from Futon is definitely not the same amount that they sold it to KMC. Now, the financing, what do they mean by financing? Do you know?
You mean in this same table, the same invoice?
I'm not sure whether the one you have, you see, I mean the invoice, whether you have a financing column there. Do you have it?
So in the invoice, you have 19 compactor trucks, right, at 115 million, which was an original unit price of 6,057,000. Then there's a special discount of 10 million, which is a discount of 526,000 per unit. And then there's a final price of 5.5 million, which says finance inclusive, yes, meaning the interest is inclusive in the 5.5 million.
Does KMC know what this finance is, in specific terms, what it involves?
The CEO should have documents that should show it. I will ask him. There should be documents that show this is the column, right, and this is your financing cost. This is the unit cost without your financing. Right. That should be very clear.
Clear, yes. Yes. Okay, so we will wait for that as well, because what we see is, as far as we are concerned, I think we have told this to Jim Gay, that it appears that what they will be charging for financing will probably be too much, and had the procurement organization engaged in market survey, they probably would not have agreed to 1 or 2 or 3 issues in relation to the financing and the price. So we don't see the contract clearly outlining the financing, the amount that is involved, so that KMC will have information about this.
Don't quote me on it, but I believe what I saw at the time, right, was the trucks without the financing was 4.9 million. Okay. So meaning the financing over the 3 years was around 500,000. Right. The issue with like you said, can you shop around for financing? I don't think that was flexible in the tendering. What the tendering was saying was pre-financed trucks. So it's a tight sale. The vendor should provide the financing. So what KMC will look at is the joint final price and not segregated.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll wait for the information that you want to, sure, that you may provide. Now, did you guys discuss about the insurance of the vehicles, who pays what? And another issue that was discussed is the customization of the of the vehicles. Do we know what was to be customized and how?
So, of course, when you buy on pre-finance, meaning now the vehicles are not yours, there's the risk of accident.
Right.
So in insurance practice, with banking or financing of vehicles, they have to be fully insured under comprehensive cover. So the administration decides that. On the issue of the customization, the council was very particular about our terrain. 95% of Gambia is without roads, and KMC is no exception. But our roads, I would say KMC roads are very interesting. They have a lot of rocks because of the erosion. And of course, there was an issue with our dump site. Our dump site is the biggest dump site in the country and has a lot of metals. So can these trucks climb on the waste piles, and will the tires be able to withstand sharp ordnance in the dump site? So I think these were all concerns. There was also concerns in terms of capacity. We have 35,000 households. Will these trucks be able to handle wards? So that's another concern. So durability, quality, capacity, the size of the trucks, all of these things. So these are all happening as we go, as councillors raise concerns.
Right.
So the wisdom was we need not standard trucks that would operate in the source country, because those countries are very different. They are well paved, more organized, wider streets. They have landfills, we don't. So how do we make sure these can withstand the terrain of our municipality? So
was that done? The customization?
I believe at some point the vendor brought in experts from the manufacturer to do a study of the terrain, and I believe they paid for the finance director and I believe the deputy mayor to travel to China to visit their premises and to hold further discussions.
Right. But do we know whether it was finally done?
Whether they traveled?
No, whether the customization of the vehicles was done?
Yes, it was done because they came down before the vehicles were manufactured. So these vehicles were manufactured from scratch as per the...
So do we have any document to show that this is the usual specs for the vehicle and all that, and then this is what is changed to meet the customizing? Because they can just say it on paper, but you would not have it.
I will ask this year. What I remember, they came on the ground, and they went with the councillors on the ground and the dump site.
Yes, because we tried to find out, but we did not see evidence of customizing these vehicles.
Yes, because even these trucks, they have what they call, I don't know the technical name, it's like a shovel at the back.
Right.
So that was a customization because the saying was that we don't have bins at the time. So how do you lift these heavy waste into the back of the trucks? It would hurt the laborers. So they customized and added a shovel at the back. So they will roll the waste on it and they will pick it from the floor and tip it into the back. So the customization, I can verify, was done, but the documentation as to how it was customized, that I will have to ask the CEO.
Yes, thank you.
Let me just ask, on the same issue, on the customization, you have said that the vendor made arrangements for the company to come in to look at the terrain.
The manufacturer.
And having realized that they have seen, the narrowness, because you've explained it, the narrowness of the streets, on accessibility, you understand, and the difficulty, you understand, in getting to certain areas and all that stuff. But what KMC did realize at the end of the day was the issue of the high consumption of fuel with respect to these trucks. And was this thing not looked into when the team came? Because when you did your KPIs, based on the documents, that is Exhibit 014, the bundle of documents that we admitted, realized that it's one of the highest in terms of cost element, which made the project very difficult to attain its objective.
So the issue of the fuel was not because of the engine. We ascertained it was because of theft and siphoning of the council's fuel and the manner in which they were issuing coupons. They were issuing at for standard amount every month or every week. They did not check whether the truck was parked, whether the driver attended. They would give the same amount of coupons. So there was no retirement. So eventually what we did was we started putting sensors. We did two things. We welded the tank so they cannot siphon the fuel. We also put fuel sensors in the fuel. Now we have a screen that shows how much fuel is being consumed.
Yes, but let me just interrupt. Sorry to interrupt here. But in one of the meeting minutes, what it did indicate, it actually said something like that, but one of the reasons that they highlighted was the fact that the terrain wasn't good because there's a lot of traffic jam, there is a lot of, you understand, the capacity of the drivers in the way they control the braking and all the stuff of the trucks. That is what makes the trucks consume a lot of fuel.
So there was,
it's in the meeting minutes.
Yes, I know exactly, because
yes.
What happened when we come to the council, there's a lot of debates. People make their own assumptions and conclusions.
Yes.
And in these minutes, of course, everybody has information they believe they had. So when we had the KATP project, we said we cannot base our decision based on rumors or this is what I think or this is what I was told. So that's why we created sensors. Now we have sensors to know how fast the driver is going, how much time they spend in traffic, what speed they're driving at, what level the fuel is at. We have that now. Now everything is on screen.
Yes.
So when even a truck is idle at a particular location for too long, we know it.
So would we now, would we be correct to say that on the issue of customization, when it comes to the fuel consumption element, that was not really taken care of? Because the assessment that was done revealed that this is one of the reasons. Aside from the theft of the fuel and all that, you understand, there were some technical problems, which they could have picked up when they came to do the assessment, because they have seen the traffic, they have seen the challenges.
So how do I put this? So this is the first time actually I'm hearing about consumption, part of the engine. What we've heard from both the experts and the people working with the trucks is the issue of poor management of the fuel, the issue of young drivers who were speeding as opposed to older drivers who drive more calmly. We also heard about the issue of basically taking coupons and not using it. So it is a management issue rather than an engine issue. The engine issue was taken care of during the customization because these were Cummins engines. So one of the selling points was these will not be Chinese engines. They are going to be engines made by Mercedes-Benz. They're going to be there is going to be Cummins engines, same that are used by Mercedes-Benz vehicles. So these are very good engines, durable, fuel efficient. So the engine was sold very well to the council. And even when the team went to China, they were taken into a showroom to display the power of Cummins engines. Because at the time when you say we are buying from China, everybody is like concerned. Will it be durable? Will it be the standard stereotypes we hear about? So the engine was sold very well. But I can tell you for sure, the issue of the fuel is poor management, theft, and lack of monitoring or irresponsible behavior on the road.
Council, you may proceed.
Yes, so the insurance, I think we will discuss the insurance. I see the 1721. So we will continue with the rest tomorrow. Now, the issue of the insurance. Now, these are all supposed to be subject to procurement. So the first question is, was it subject to procurement? Does council know?
So the insurance, I believe at some point was co-paid for by ESPAS.
Yes, so we have a letter
Yes.
on the 22nd of July 2019 signed by Jaja Cham, the acting chief executive officer, which reads, it is addressed to the chief executive officer, ESPAS Motors, Battle Harding Highway. Payment of insurance cover for the 19 Ward WDC compactor trucks. But the management of council wish to have the 19 WDC compactor trucks issued, and in this regard would like to contribute $1 million to this payment, which is 50% of the amount, and balance to be met by the Ward Development Committee in due course. We would like to request ESPAS to pay the balance of 50% and spread that amount for the WDCs to be settled by the respective 19 wards within 12 calendar months. We thank you and look forward to your usual cooperation. So, Council, there was an issue with respect to insurance. Who pays what?
I remember that issue.
Yes. Can you please guide us?
I believe initially what was agreed was we will share the cost of the insurance as per the agreement or the discussions, and the issue came to the council that ESPAS will go ahead and insure all the vehicles on comprehensive, and council will pay for half of it. That's basically what I can remember. As to whether the WDC should refund ESPAS or not, that portion I cannot remember.
Yes. So, ESPAS, of course, wrote a letter on the 30th of July 2019. It reads, as per attached KMC reference letter dated the 22nd of July 2019, requesting ESPAS Motors to partly finance the WDC compactor truck insurance after an initial contribution of $1 million from KMC. Please proceed upon receipt of KMC $1 million to settle the balance of $929,805.76 and as part financing to be settled by KMC WDC wards over a period of 1 year. Now, see, why was all this not factored in the agreement? Do we know?
Well, I think those issues were not thought of by the contracts committee. I used to work in the insurance industry.
Right.
So one thing I always said to the council that you cannot take a vehicle on a loan and not have it comprehensive insured, because if it has an accident, everybody loses. So that vehicle must be protected. I think these discussions came in the subsequent council meetings. Like
Yes.
as I was learning on the job,
Right.
this was a new experience for all of us.
Yes.
But now, as to how the sharing was done with ESPAS, that is
Right.
what I cannot determine exactly.
That was why I said that be it as it may, whether it's a loan or not, the risk you were talking about, the financial risk still exists in several ways. If you don't have a very detailed contract which outline, because all you see, and by you I mean KMC, all you see is just let's procure 19 trucks. And I appreciate the fact that you said that lying on the job, we're all new, we were all working at this time, we wanted it to work, and does it. And so when you were to purchase 19 trucks, so many things come with 19 trucks, so that the risk you were trying to avoid, the financial risk you were trying to avoid, keeps on resurfacing when you least expect it. Do you see that? Like $1 million is when it was not contemplated.
Well, there cannot be zero risk. There's acceptable risk,
Right.
and risk that is not acceptable. Risk that is not acceptable is putting taxpayers' wealth at risk. I guess that's what prompted the insurance part of it.
Right.
Because in a case, for example, let's say we have paid 50 million to ESPAS, and the trucks are uninsured, and a fire breaks out at the annex, all the trucks burn, we cannot share with ESPAS that value. That money is gone. That's why you have to insure until you can go past that hurdle.
Now, whose responsibility is it to insure to the vehicle?
Director of Administration.
I mean,
usually.
both the parties, ESPAS and KMC.
I believe ESPAS was responsible for the insurance.
Yes, but KMC still paid part of it.
KMC counterpaid as per the agreement.
Not the agreement, there was more of like a gentleman's understanding.
Not the contractual
Yes,
agreement, but
yes.
the agreement outside of the
Right.
contract.
So then KMC should have insisted by your answer that Espas pays the insurance.
So the burden on the insurance is always with the customer, it's not with the vendor. That is because the customer is just selling your vehicle. You have to protect that vehicle since you are the one taking it on loan. So the issue of sharing that cost, I don't know how that discussion went, but from the seams of it, the CEO was trying to plead to Espas, can you help us insure these vehicles? Yes,
so that if by this time, remember, the ownership have not been transferred yet. In fact, Espas did at no time, even when the agreement said that the ownership would be between Espas and the WDC. The WDC never had any hand in this. They never played any role. It will probably in practice be KMC, right? But at no time during this period did ownership transfer from Espas Motors to KMC, so that the owner of the vehicle would have been Espas Motors, so they have their liabilities if it is not expressly stated in the contract.
Yes, so that's why there's a joint ownership in the contract.
In the contract?
Yes, it says joint ownership between Espas and the WDC.
Yes.
But I think we've already gone over.
Yes.
That should have been amended to be KMC.
Right.
So I believe in their thinking, since we jointly own it, then we should jointly insure it.
Yes, but in practice, they don't even jointly own it. They maintained ownership. There was a period that ownership was transferred. But before all this, the insurance, you realize that Espas Motors remained to be the owner of the trucks.
No, the trucks was in the joint name of Espas and the WDC.
But at what point?
At the contractual stage, it's in the contract.
Yeah, that was signed.
Yes.
Yes, but in practice, when it comes, if you have to request for the documents of the vehicle, the issues we have seen is that ownership still remains with Espas. In fact, there was a communication, I will show you perhaps tomorrow, that there was a request for a change of name and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
so,
if I can see that document.
Yes.
Because from the understanding of the council, it should be in the joint name of Espas and the WDC.
Yes.
And that should also feature in the insurance.
Right.
Which is actually standard with banks that are giving loans.
Exactly.
For cars.
Now, the insurance too, I'm not sure if I've asked this, should it also be subject to procurement process?
It should be subject to procurement if it was done by KMC.
Right. No, but the funds of council, KMC paid $1 million. So the $1 million they paid should be subject to procurement.
Well, it's quite complicated the way it is structured.
Right.
Because I guess the thinking was it is structured in a form of a PPP.
Right.
But Espas is doing the procurement.
Right.
But like I said, this is tricky ground.
Right.
So in hindsight, a lot of things could have been streamlined better.
Right. But just to clear this, so when KMC wrote through Jaya Cham that they would be paying $1 million for the insurance, that is money leaving the coffers to other entities, right? To other insurance companies. So the requirement that is expressed in the law is that for all those, it has to be subject to procurement. I do not see an exception to that.
Yeah, so like I said, these things could have been made better.
Right.
Could have been best practice or whatnot. But that's why it's important that some of these external bodies function and guide the council accordingly. But these issues are being raised here now, and I see this rationale and I see the sense. But in hindsight, at the time, it seemed practical.
Okay. If there are questions, we can entertain them. If not, we'll proceed with this tomorrow.
We can proceed tomorrow. We may rise.
Madam Chair, can I just...
Yes.
Yes, so tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I have international call. KMC shortlisted for $1 million grant by Bloomberg, and I have to be part of the call. So I don't know.
When is the call ending?
The call is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
So probably
it cannot be more than 2 hours.
It cannot be more than?
I don't think it can be more than 2 hours. But
2 hours. Okay, we will come by 10, and then when we break, You understand?
So-
We will give you the opportunity
Thank
to attend. All right? We may rise.